listen to the floor.
Hello, welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. This video is one that was requested from a number of my viewers. A lot ask a question, what's your favorite pen? You know, if you had to choose between model A, B, and C, which one would you choose? You know, how does it write? How does it hold up over time? So I've assembled a collection of my recent Chinese pens, which span probably almost a year, maybe not quite, but most of these have been done in the past couple months. They're all inked up. They all stay inked up. The piston fillers hold a lot of ink, so it's going to be a while to get through that ink. One of the things that has changed in my view on pens is piston fillers are nice because you have a filling system that's built into the pen, but they're not perfect. For one reason, there's a lot of ink there, so you got to write for a while. So if you like to change inks a lot, piston fillers are not going to be your optimal choice. Cleaning them out is not as easy as a converter, where you can use the converter as a flusher, or you can use a bulb. You don't take the converter out. You can disassemble usually non-piston filler pens a little bit easier than you can piston fillers, even though these pens are easier to clean out than some of the more traditional piston fillers that require tools to take them apart. Let's start on the right with this Wingsung 698, which actually, the clear one is the one that started it, which is this one here. Started this passion of mine and this focus of mine on these amazing pens coming out of China. Because I have to be very honest, until I got to 698, I was kind of lukewarm on Chinese pens. Yeah, they're kind of interesting, and yeah, they're kind of cheap, and yeah, they make a lot of them, and they're a lot of variety. But nothing really said wow, as I've used in some of my reviews. So the reason I have this one here is because this one probably surprised me a lot. Number one, it's classic, gold and black. You know, kind of flat ends to it. You know, it has that locking cap for the piston filler. It has an ink window. It's a very nice size. But what's really blew me away about this pen was I filled it up with this ink. Noodler's Eel Black. I wanted a permanent black in an ink in this pen because I enjoy having a pen to do checks with, or some, you know, knock-around pen, a pen you're going to take outside that you may want to write with that might get wet or whatever. And this pen, I've had this thing inked up for 2 months, and it writes first time every time. And this is very bad over the camera, but I just wanted to show you. And I've never had any hard starts issue. This pen has sat for weeks at a time. And this is not a pen that, sorry, not an ink that's known for that type of quality, but this nib is very, very smooth, as all the 698s are. So I'm impressed. You know, the pen has survived well. But when these pens came out, they were north of $15. They've now come down closer to 11 or 12. But I recently found this pen, which is the 3008. And considering this is, I think, under $3, piston filler. I know this is pink. I have the other colors now. They're pending a review. You don't need an ink window because it's all transparent. You got a nice transparent feed and section, and the facets are nice. Yes, it does mimic a TWSBI Diamond 580, but I don't care. I have to be very honest about that. I really don't. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And if you don't want to buy this pen, don't buy it, and buy the TWSBI if that's, you know, what floats your boat. Sorry, I have to be a little bit, you know, open about my feelings about that. You know, this also doesn't have a locking piston mechanism. I have to tell these. Easy to disassemble like the 698 is. double piston seal here, which is nice. It seems to be common in a lot of pens. You know, plain finial top and whatever. But this, again, is another pen that writes first time every time. These all have the original nibs in. A little bit of a hard start there, but again, I'm over the camera and it's hard to get the nib on the paper right. You know, it'd be nice if I had two cameras like some of my other pen reviewers do, but I enjoy the one camera that I have, so we're going to have to make do with that. Next on the list is the 618. This is the first one of these that I've gotten. It's been filled up since I got it. I've knocked this pen around. I've taken it with me. Yeah, there's a little bit of ink there, but that's easy to rinse out. And again, it's a unique design with that hooded nib reminiscent of the Parker 51. The great clear section really shows off the ink that pools there. And the person asked about, do these stay filled up? No, but the pen always writes. Writes first time every time. You know, none of these three pens are going to give you great line variation or anything else like that, but from my experience, when you're doing a lot of long writing, that's not something that probably is going to matter. If you want to sit down and spend a few hours doing calligraphy with a letter, then fine, get a nib that works that way. I just put this one in here because it just still blows my mind on the looks. It just writes well. This is the one I put the gold nib in. It comes in red, it comes in blue. Just have the red one here. So we have it written with a red ink, so let's bring this one on board. It's probably been a week since I've written with this pen. And it writes. Fine line, but consistent, and that's what really matters. This is another pen that I've spent a lot of time with. It's been in my pocket for a while. That condensation that was developing in the top of the cap seems to have stopped. This is a beautiful pocket pen. It's extremely affordable. And one of the things that I've found, and hopefully I'm not going to be video denied, is first time every time. I mean, part of having a pen is having it write all the time. So I have this one in here because this is the first 698 that I got. And also I did something with this is I replaced the nib. So this is the first one that we're coming to in this group that has the double broad Pilot 78G nib in it. And I have had flow issues with this. I've had ink starvation issues. I've had to prime it with the piston. But for some reason, recently, it's been writing well. Asked me to explain that. I can't. Maybe there was some type of flow issue with the feed in an air pocket, or again, I don't know. I can't explain it. I mean, I've covered my hand with ink a couple times with this pen because I would take it out after a day or two, try to write with it. It wouldn't write. And the only way I could get it to is I had to reprime the feed using the piston, and sometimes that's hard to do in low light situations. This pen's here because this is the second pen that I got in this group. As you can see, there's not much ink left in this because Janet's used this pen for well over a month. It sat in a truck outside for a week or so, maybe longer. And we got it out of the truck, and guess what? First time, every time it writes. Apologize for that over the camera, but I really just want to, you know, show the proof is in the pudding. And this is the original nib again. It's nice to see the difference in just why I like putting that double broad nib in there, and I like laying down a lot of ink. Janet likes purple ink, so that's why it's in the pen. And this is just here because of showing you the silver version of it. I prefer the silver version over the gold, at least from a clear pen viewpoint. You know, smoky little cap liner there. So this is one of the first pens I got in this series, the L'Oreal, the Lingmo. Wasky Squirrel, let's just remember, it's a Lingmo L'Oreal, L'Oreal, whatever. It's also a nice transparent pen. I mean, it's a nice design. It's a little bit on the small side, but it still works fine. And, you know, that's the original fine nib in it. And I've used this pen for as a carry around, as a knock around, and first time. Again, I'm over the camera, so occasionally you're going to get some problems because I have to put the nib on the nib actually has to be on the paper to write amazing thing about fountain pens, if that's the case. This is here just because this pen still continues to amaze me. It's a heavy pen, but it's unique. You know, yes, it mimics the design of a dual fold, but so does about 100 other pens out there. But it has its own uniqueness to it. And we're not posting that, obviously, because it's going to be a little bit heavy. Hopefully nobody asked me the type of inks because I don't remember. I think this is Velvet Storm, but don't hold me to it. If you want the inks, all these pens, I think, still have the original inks that they were used in the review of the pen, so you could go look at my original review. And talk about a size difference, is you can compare the Kangaroo to the Lingmo, no, sorry, the Delight New Moon. I knew I would eventually get a name wrong. I mean, a lot of things in my head, and it's a hard thing to keep in mind. So I just like this pen, and what really I enjoyed about this pen, besides the look of the fact, is that this has the slightly bent nib on it. Camera's going to be a little bit difficult to focus, and you can see it's a minor bend, but this is what started me on my bent nib exploration. And I just like the fact that this just lays down about a little bit more ink than your fine and extra fine, so I really enjoyed that, and has a little bit of line variation from, you know, horizontal to vertical, but it's just nice. It's a little bit on the small side when compared to some of these other pens, and so you're going to have to be able to deal with that smallness. So we're going to end up with 3 pens. This is my incredibly maligned by me see if we can get that to come out. The Lamy 3059, and you might I mean, this green is intense. This is the one that I've replaced the original nib with a broad Lamy nib, and I have that Robert Oster Sublime ink in here. And I've done things, I've sealed the cap, I've worked with this. I've done 2 videos on it, but guess what? Kind of like I've experienced with the 698, this has now become a first-time pen. I can't explain it, why it took so long, but it has. And I do like this combination of the broad and this ink. It's just nice. Again, a very inexpensive pen, piston fill. Most of this piston has been pushed out because I needed to re-ink the feed to get it to write. And this is a clear version, which I haven't done a review on, but I inked this thing up over a week ago. I write with it occasionally. I've done nothing to seal it. You can see there's a little ink splatter in there, so maybe after knocking it around a little bit, but that's probably also a lot of times first fillings do that. I think I've cleaned it out once. Interesting, nice blue ink. I think this is Frankly Blue by Robert Oster. So one of the things that amazes me is this is now also a first-time writer. So I may have to do a rebuttal of my don't buy the 3059. I'm going to give it more time, but I have to admit that there was something with that ink and that pen that just didn't work out. Now all of a sudden, amazingly, it has. So we're going to close up with one of the other pens that started me on this great journey of Chinese pens is the Wing Sung 692. This is still a workhorse. I got a ton of these inked up. I've given them away. You know, this also has a bent nib on it. And you can see this is significantly more bent than the one on the Delight New Moon. I remembered the name this time. So, and this is also, every 692 I have is a first-time writer. No matter how long I leave it set, eyedroppered or converter filled. And I just love the way this thing writes, especially with this Soda Pop Blue ink from Robert Oster. So, a lot of pens to go through. Hopefully I've addressed some of the questions of my viewers. I always have to chuckle when I hear people talk about too many pens inked up. So we have a few here in front of you, and this is probably less than a third of the pens I have inked up. I think it's crazy too, but it's just me. You know, it's one of the things that I've learned is it's no use fighting who you are. Go with the flow, you know, and endorse it, adopt it, embrace it, you know, have fun with it. Maybe I'll do another video like this, depending upon how it's received, of the tier below these. Probably another 10 or 15 pens I could put up there that I have similar experiences with as far as having them for a period of time, but maybe those experiences have not been as positive or rewarding as the pens you see in front of you. So, in closing, thank you for watching. I hope this has been educational, enjoyable, entertaining. Adds to your knowledge of pens, your appreciation of pens. It gives you some new ideas and maybe answers some questions. So, until later, enjoy pens, inks, and paper. Enjoy life. Enjoy all the varieties of both of them. Enjoy every day, and you'll enjoy your life. Till later, bye.